In our politics lead, check out this photo taken today at the National Mall. Numbers appearing as dead grass that say 86-47. To translate, 86 means to get rid of. 47 presumably means President Donald Trump, the 47th president. Some say this is used to signal just political opposition to Trump. The administration paints it as a genuine physical threat. Remember, these are the same numbers in the photograph of shells that former FBI Director James Comey posted online, which got him indicted twice. Spokesperson for the Department of the Interior says, quote, any threat against the president is taken very seriously by the department, and our U.S. Park Police will investigate this incident and hold those responsible accountable. Let's discuss all of this with Max Rose, former Democratic congressman from New York City, and Mike DeHame, Republican strategist and CEO of MAD Global Strategic Group, used to be a big Republican operative in New Jersey. Do you still do that? Are you still?
I like to be a pundit now.
Pundit,
it's more fun to sit back and talk.
All right.
You know?
So, Max, this has appeared just days before these massive crowds are expected on the South Lawn of the White House for the UFC match on Trump's 80th birthday. I mean, obviously, we don't know the motivation of these folks, but, like, I mean, do you consider it a threat?
Well, I can tell you the characteristic of the folks. They're stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just not what we need at this moment. At a time where Donald Trump's corruption has never been more evident, his ineffectiveness has never been more evident, his inability to lead overseas, as clear as day, and this stupidity is coming out. But what that doesn't do, although it is serious, is it doesn't ever justify the indictments of James Comey either. That remained equally stupid as well. So I think we all agree collectively we should move beyond this ridiculousness.
What do you think, Mike?
I would agree. It's a distraction. It's probably good for President Trump that it distracts from some of the other issues, but obviously any kind of threat against the President of the United States, whoever it is, should be taken seriously. And I think with everything that's happened with former FBI Director Comey, folks know how seriously this is going to be taken. It shouldn't be seen as a joke. And I think anybody who does that is stupid and obviously is risking their own personal security as police look into it.
Yeah, presumably they know that Comey got indicted over. It's not like people are running around saying 86,
if you're in Washington, D.C.,
yeah, it's not something that's sweeping the nation. I
right.
mean, like, it's a very particular phrase. Max, speaking of the National Mall, at least 5 states are now bowing out of Trump's Great American State Fair. The states are Washington, Massachusetts, Illinois, North Carolina. They say this largely due to costs. Oregon raised concerns about the partisan nature of the event because a Trump-aligned nonprofit is behind it. There's a difference between America 250 and Freedom 250. America 250 is the official sanctioned congressional bipartisan group, and Freedom 250 is the public-private partnership that seems, to some people, a little Trumpy, a little MAGA-y. What do you think? Are those states missing out?
I don't think they're missing out, but I think the country is missing out right now. You know, and this is something you've touched on throughout your career, how our cultural unity has been a great strength of ours as a nation, and we're losing it. Look, I don't want to blame everything on Donald Trump, but he's certainly playing a part here. How it does not matter what the issue is. It's not a moment for unity for the guy. It could be America 250. It could be a national holiday. He uses it as an opportunity to divide us. And what we're seeing now is it seeps into the pores of everything. Even when Donald Trump's not front and center on the issue, this is an example of that. This is MAGA writ large, not Donald Trump. But I certainly think this is the America that Donald Trump is helping to create.
So I think I'm the oldest one here. So I was 7 during the bicentennial, our 200th birthday. And again, I was only 7, so I wasn't, but I was a pretty precocious kid. I was paying attention to stuff. I knew who the president was, and I knew that Jimmy Carter was challenging him and all that. And I'll tell you something, it was very different. Even though, you know, this has always been a divided nation in different ways. There just wasn't the politicization of everything, of every single thing in the world. I can't even wear a Springsteen shirt without people assuming that it's like some sort of political statement. I just like Springsteen.
That's a tragedy.
You know,
it's a great decision, like Springsteen. So I commend you on that.
Well, you're in New Jersey.
But I would just say, like, people should just have fun. Like, we shouldn't let politics seep in everything. And I agree with the congressman that the president uses opportunities to be divisive and seek political gain, kind of any chance that he can. But people should just have fun. It's a fair. Go have a Zeppeli and relax. Don't be so upset about everything. Don't let politics interfere with you enjoying life. And that's what people, I think, in states are doing. It's an opportunity for people who are from your state in Washington, D.C. to go to their booth and nobody's going to be there. I think it's silly.
It's New Jersey. Go have a Zeppeli.
So we should allow politics to intrude in politics, though. And I do want to raise this up because while the U.S. is at war, Laura Loomer who is an Islamophobe and a bigot and kind of unhinged, frankly. She posted after traveling with the Secretary of Defense to Gitmo and to CENTCOM yesterday, "Thank you, Department of War, for inviting me on this trip. I truly appreciate it." Hegseth traveling with Laura Loomer. What do you think of that?
I think I am no fan of Laura Loomer. I know what they're doing. They are trying to create a kind of a new media ecosystem, and they're going out to people who have followings instead of going to traditional media. So I understand that is the goal. But Laura Loomer should not be elevated by anybody, I think, at a high level in government like that.
What do you think?
Donald Trump did this during his campaign.
He did.
Right, he took Laura Loomer. I believe it was actually.
Oh, by the way, we should say she's also a 9/11 truther.
Right.
To hit something close to you guys here in New Jersey and New York.
Absolutely, and nonetheless, he took her on multiple trips. And then, by the way, took her into the Oval Office and received recommendations from her as to who on his national security staff he should fire, and then followed through on those recommendations. So, there's been this thing that's happened with Trump and MAGA for the last decade. When he does something, we're like, oh, well, that's just crazy Donald, right? This is the administration Donald Trump has created. And unlike Trump version 1, he has many Trumps now throughout his cabinet. Hegseth first amongst them. Hegseth went down to Gitmo and said that people should be executed. This guy is desecrating American values every chance he gets. And Laura Loomer being right there, that is just the headline of the story.
And one of the things I can get concerned about this, Mike, and I'm sure you view it the same way, is that it's not just the erosions that Trump is causing. It's what's next. What's going to happen when there's the next president. It's not as though there aren't Democrats many Democrats are following the Trump playbook. They are now nasty and abusive on social media. And you hear Democratic politicians, again, Trump played his role, but it doesn't end with him.
I think they're copying success. They see political success, and they're willing to try to copy and mimic that success. I think it's difficult. Not many of them were billionaires or on WWE or on The Apprentice or have their names on buildings. It's very hard to be the next Trump. He is undeniably charismatic for all of these issues.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be very hard to replicate his political success.
Thanks to both of you for being here. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Travis.